Hello and welcome to the channel. As always, like the video, and if you enjoyed the story, leave a comment on if you would want more. This fanfiction was not created by me, but in the description there is a link to the fanfic so you can show your support to the creator and read along. Without any more delay, let's dive into the story.
The sun was up and the day was nice. Mito, Hanabi and Hitomi had gotten up about 2 hours ago excited. Today was the day Naruto was going to teach them. Unfortunately, Naruto had yet to get up. That's it. It's almost noon and he still hasn't gotten up. I'm going to wake him. Hitomi yelled as she walked towards the couch. You can't touch him. His powers will break your wrist. Mito reminded Hitomi. Hitomi stooped just moments away from touching Naruto's shoulder to shake him awake. Oh right, I forgot. But how are we supposed to wake him up? I'm tired of waiting. Maybe just try yelling? Hanabi suggested. But didn't he tell us he could also reflect sound? Guess it couldn't hurt to try. Hitomi said, shrugging her shoulders. Hey Accelerator, wake up! Hitomi shouted as loud as she could. Naruto stirred awake as if Hitomi's screaming was nothing more than a tap on the shoulder telling him to get up. Why did you wake me? Naruto said drowsily. Because it's almost noon, and you said you train us to become ninjas. Hitomi said. Why do I have to train you so early? Naruto said. It's not early. Hitomi said angrily. It is for me. I mostly sleep through the day and go out at night. Naruto said. The only reason I came back here at all last night was because you brats showed up, but if you really want me to train you then. Naruto looked around his ruined apartment. Clean up the house. That's not training. Hitomi yelled. It's stealth training. You clean the apartment while I sleep. If you wake me up you will be punished. Naruto said, glaring at them and actually releasing some killer instinct to show he was serious. Then Naruto rolled over and fell asleep aging. Good job Hitomi, we get to be maids now. Mito whispered so she didn't wake Naruto. Shut up, you two wanted him to wake too. Hitomi said. Well, at least we know now not to wake him up because that was pretty scary. Hanabi said. Yeah, I know. Can you believe he even used Ki? Hitomi said. Let's just get it done. We have a lot of work to do. Mito sighed, looking around the apartment. The apartment took forever to clean, but it was mostly because for some reason Naruto became much more prone to being woken up by sounds. He almost woke up a number of times when one of the girls made any sort of noise above a whisper or the shuffling of feet. Putting the door back on the frame was the hardest part, and they couldn't believe they did it without wakening Naruto up. Once they were done, Naruto woke up on his own like he knew they were done. Wow, you brats did a pretty good job. Naruto said, sounding completely awake. Does that mean you'll actually train us? Hitomi asked. Yeah, but for right now you brats stay here, I'm going out. Naruto said as he opened up the newly put on door. Wait, don't just leave us here. Take us with you. Mito pleaded. Naruto sighed, now he was going to have to explain it to them. Alright, listen up brats. You can't come with me, you can't even leave the apartment. Why? Mito said, not understanding. Have you forgotten already? You brats ran away from Konoha, people are going to be looking for you. Does Jiraiya of the Sannin mean anything to you brats? The three girls nodded their heads. Good, because it should. He has the largest spy network in the entire elemental nations, and I bet it's working overtime trying to find out where you brats are. I honestly expected Umbu to come barging in last night, but they didn't. So right now they don't know where you are, but that most likely because Jiraiya's spies in the Land of Frost hadn't gotten the order to find you brats yet since you only came to this town yesterday. They'll definitely be looking for you now though. Does that mean we can't ever leave? Hanabi asked in worry. She didn't run away just to spend in life trapped in a room. I didn't say that. Naruto pointed out, giving them a grin that in the future the girls would learn was his winning grin, which looked kind of psychotic. I'm going out to solve that problem right now, so until I get back don't set foot outside this house, alright brats? Hi, the girl said as Naruto left. Naruto walked away from the apartment complex and down the street. He needed a way to keep Jiraiya's spy network away from him. The best way to do that was to set up a counter spy network, and Naruto know just the guy for the job. He headed into a certain part of town, the bad part of town where gangs ruled. Most people would be afraid to travel here, but Naruto couldn't care less. When Naruto first came to this town, he traveled here and of course got attacked by thugs. After he killed them, the gang they were with decided to hunt him down for revenge. 2 months of this and the bodies piles were getting too high, so they stopped and never tried to attack him aging. Naruto was here however to talk to the gang's leader, some guy named Kai's. Naruto has only met him once, but he knew that if he wanted a spy network, Kai's was the guy for the job. The only thing Naruto knew about Kai's was that he was a missing nin. Naruto didn't know from which village or for how long he had been a missing nin, and Naruto was pretty sure Kai's was an alias. Even with all these unknowns, Naruto knew he could trust Kai's because he, just like Naruto, couldn't afford to be found out. Naruto made it to the building that Kai's was most likely in. The guard in front of the door moved out of the way right when he saw Naruto. Not because Naruto was welcome, it was because the guard knew that he couldn't stop him. Inside, Kai's was playing cards with a bunch of people that Naruto didn't know. When Kai's saw Naruto walk in, he immediately excuses himself from the game. "Hey Accelerator, what do I own the honor?" Kai's said in a tone that made it seem like Naruto was his buddy. "I need to talk to you, alone," Naruto stated. "Alrighty," Kai said as he led Naruto to an empty room and locked the door. "Alright Accelerator, what do you want, because I know you didn't come over to say hello. Kai said, losing the buddy-buddy attitude. "You got that right. I need a spy network," Naruto said. "A spy network?" Kai said, thinking it over. "Why do you suddenly need one of those?" "I came into possession of something that I can't let the world know I have," Naruto said. "So you don't really want a spy network, you just want your secret to stay a secret. Who do you need to keep it a secret from?" Kai's asked. "Anyone who's looking, but mostly I can't let Jiraiya of the Sannin catch wind of it," Naruto replied. "Keeping secrets from Jiraiya is a pretty tall order," Kai said. "Are you saying you can't do it?" Naruto asked. "Are you serious? Who do you think turned these thugs who only thought about getting wasted and picking up girls into an organized gang? Besides, if it's only this city you need me to cover, then it shouldn't be too hard to block off Jiraiya's spies. This city isn't a hotspot either, so there should only be 1 or 2 spies around. I hope you know that this isn't free," Kai said with a cocky smirk. "I've already paid you enough. I know that you boys collected everything I leave behind at the bandit camps," Naruto said, and was glad when he saw a little bit of sweat roll down Kai's neck. "Alright, fine, I'll do your bidding, but just curious, what do you have that Jiraiya would be looking for?" Kai's asked. Naruto didn't know if he should tell him, but figured that the spy network he would set up to keep Jiraiya off him would tell Kai's. "The youngest daughter of the Hokage, a Hyuga, and an Uchiha," Naruto said before walking out the door. "Kami Accelerator telling me to keep anyone who's looking away, don't you mean everyone who's going to be looking?" Kai said after Naruto left. Konoha. Today was the Genin exam. Too bad almost everyone had forgotten about it. It had been 1 week since Mito, Hanabi, and Hitomi had run away. It was supposed to be a secret, but it got leaked and now everyone in the Hidden Leaf knew about it. That, along with Hinata being taken out of the academy, had been the only topics of discussion in the classroom for the past week. So when the Genin exam finally rolled around, most people were caught completely off guard. The class was currently working hard on the written test. For most of the clan kids this stuff was basic knowledge, but for the civilian kids, especially the ones who forgot about the test, the questions could prove difficult. There was one student who was blazing through the test, however. Minima was writing too fast. Some of the students swore they saw smoke coming from the paper. After Mito ran away, Minima had fully devoted herself to her training. She wasn't doing it just to show Naruko how strong she really was either. No, Minima was convinced someone had taken Mito. Now she knew Mito and her friends run away on their own accord, but she didn't think they were skilled enough to hide from Jiraiya's spy network this long. So Jiraiya should have found them already. The only explanation that Minima could think of on why Jiraiya hadn't found them yet was they had been taken by someone. Minima believed that Mito ran away on an impulse and was then caught by someone and hidden away. When Minima thought of that, she thought of someone like Orochimaru, and Minima hated the thought of someone doing the same things to her little sister that Orochimaru was doing to her brother. When she found whoever was holding her sister, she was going to kill them and bring Mito back. Then she was going to the same thing with Orochimaru. Then their family could finally be reunited, but in order to do any of that she had to become stronger. Naruko, on the other hand, was a complete mess. For the first time in her life, her parents weren't paying attention to her. They and Jiraiya have been working hard trying to find Mito and the other girls, but so far they weren't having any luck. Her parents were both seriously depressed, and Naruko felt like it was her fault. She had done a lot of thinking after Minima defeated her, and Naruko realized that she really didn't have any unique powers. The only thing she could do that another graduating genin couldn't was leak demonic chakra, summon toads, and create shadow clones. Leaking demonic chakra wasn't really a skill since she couldn't control it. She could only summon very small toads, and she had only learned the shadow clones jutsu because she threw a fit saying the regular clone jutsu was too hard due to her large amount of chakra. She probably would have been able to do regular clones with a bit of hard work, but Naruko chose the easy way out. She wasn't in any danger of not passing the genin exam, but she just felt like she wasn't at the level she should be at. The rest of the test proceeded smoothly. Minima and Sasuke came out on top with near-perfect scores on everything. Naruko passed, but the only noteworthy thing she did was produce shadow clones instead of regular clones. When they got their headbands, Minima tied it around her forehead with pride. It was half covered by the part of her hair that also fell over her left eye. Naruko looked at her headband for a little bit, feeling like she didn't really deserve it. She ended up just tying it around her arm. After everyone was done with the exam, the teachers told them to come back tomorrow for their team assignments. Naruko and Minima walked home with Minima looking the happiest she had ever been since Mito left. Minato and Kushina congratulated them at the door, but both the girls could tell their hearts weren't really in it. They both had bags under their eyes and they looked saddened despite the smiles they had when they saw Naruko's and Minima's headbands. They walked into the living room where there was a cake that had the words "We know you'll become great kunoichis" on it. "I'm so proud of you too," Kushina said, giving them both a hug. "Thanks, Kaa-san," Minima said, returning the hug. "Thanks, Kaa-san," Naruko said half-heartedly. "You two should be thrilled you finally get to be ninjas, and I know you two will become just as strong as your mother, if not stronger," Minato said. "Does that mean you'll start us off on C-rank missions instead of D-rank missions?" Minima asked, her eyes shining with hope. "Not a chance," Minato said, chuckling a little bit. "Ah, well that's alright because I'm going to be strong enough to go on S-rank missions soon, and don't worry about Mito or Naruto because I'm working as hard as I can. I'm going to rip Orochimaru and whoever holding Mito limb from limb and bring them back," Minima said with the most confidence Minato and Kushina had ever heard from her. For the first time since Mito had run away, they smiled a real smile because not only did they trust her daughter, but she said the exact same thing Kushina had said when Naruto was taken. Naruko could only stand to the side and watch her sister work her magic, and for the first time in her life Naruko wished she was more like her sister. The next day everyone who passed was at the academy discussing who they wanted to be on their team. The noise only stopped when Irika came. "Well, you all made it and I just want to tell you how proud I am of each and every one of you, but let's get to teams," he said, going through a bunch of teams. Most of the kids didn't pay attention till he got to their team. Team 7 will be Naruko Namikaze, Minama Namikaze, and Sasuke Uchiha. Your sensei will be Kakashi. Team 8 will be Kiba Inzuka, Shino Aburame, and Sakura Haruno. Your sensei will be Kurinai. Team 10 will be Ino Yamanaka, Shikamaru Nara, and Choji Akimichi. Your sensei will be Asuma. That is all the teams. Your sensei should be here soon, Irika said, taking his leave. The class waited around from their senseis, and one by one they came. All expect Team 7's. Soon Sasuke, Naruko, and Minama were the only ones in the classroom. An hour passed then too, and he still didn't show up. Naruko waited around, furious that Kakashi was keeping them waiting. Minami had approached Sasuke and started asking him a bunch of questions to try and get to know him better. It took another hour before Kakashi finally came through the door. "What took you so damn long?" Naruko yelled right when he came in. "Well, you certainly have a mouth on you," Kakashi said, not sounding amused. "Anyways, meet me up on the roof," he said before disappearing in swirl of leaves. Sasuke just sighed and walked out of the classroom. Naruko was so mad, however, that she almost started leaking demonic chakra and would have if Minama didn't put her hand on Naruko's shoulder. Naruko turned to look at the dead serious expression on Minama's face. "Naruko, you're my sister, and even after what you did to Mito I still love you, but I will not tolerate you carelessly using your demonic chakra," she said. Naruko didn't like what Minama was saying, but not wanting to get pinned to the floor with chains, she stopped. "Good, now let's go see our sensei," Minama said, not looking as serious as she had before. "It's not like we don't already know him," Naruko said, getting up from her seat and walking out of the classroom with Minama. "Well, now that we're all here, let's get to know each other. Tell us a little about yourselves. So who wants to go first?" Kakashi said. "I guess I will," Sasuke said. "I like training and becoming stronger. I dislike people who look down on the Uchiha clan just because of the coup. My dream is to help my brother rebuild the Uchiha clan to its former glory." "Alright, I guess I'll go next," Minama said. "I like training with my family. I hate Orochimaru and anyone else who tries to hurt my family. My dream is to one day bring Mito and Naruto back to the leaf." Kakashi turned to Naruko. "You're the last one." Naruko signed. "I like ramen. I dislike people who think they're better than me. My dream is dash." Naruko stopped. What was her dream, she wondered. She had never really thought about it before. She had always believed that she was strong, but Minama had shown her she wasn't. She guessed her dream was, "My dream is to become stronger." Naruko said. "Well, those are all very good dreams, but in order to attain any of them you have to pass one more test," Kakashi said. "But we already passed the Genin test," Minama said. "Yes, but you see, in order to become Genin you have to pass my test," Kakashi said. "Meet me at Training Ground 3 tomorrow and don't eat any breakfast, you'll just regret it." Kakashi then diapered, aging. Damn, Kakashi always disappearing like that. Naruko cursed as she, Sasuke and Minama walked down the stairs. The next day Team 7 went to Training Ground 3 and waited for Kakashi, who was late, aging. Just like last time, it took him 3 hours to finally show up, and when he finally did show up he went on explaining the test like nothing had happened. "Do you all understand?" Kakashi asked after explaining the bell test. "So only 2 of us can pass?" Minama said. "That's right, so let the test begin," Kakashi said, and all the kids disappeared. Kakashi looked around to try and find the kids, but before he could find them he suddenly jumped in the air to avoid being hit by golden chains coming from the ground. Kakashi landed a few feet away from the chains. It didn't look like the chains were long enough to go after him because they retreated back underground. Kakashi looked around to find Minama. He knew that she didn't have great control over her chains, so she had to be close. Kakashi saw the slightest movement in a nearby bush. Kakashi ran to the bush so fast that to Minama it looked he teleported. She couldn't do anything as Kakashi kicked her from her hiding place. She tumbled across the field until finally came to a stop. She quickly stood up to see Kakashi standing in front of her reading an orange book like he hadn't just kicked her halfway across the field. Minima knew she couldn't take Kakashi head-on, so as much as she didn't want to, she ran back to the forest and hide. Well, at least she knows she'll never get the bells like that. Kakashi said offhandedly. Right after he said that, however, he heard Sasuke shout Fireball Jutsu. A fireball engulfed Kakashi and Sasuke was sure he made a direct hit, but after the smoke cleared, Kakashi was nowhere to be seen. Sasuke looked around for him but couldn't find him. Then he heard Kakashi say, Headhunter Jutsu. Sasuke was sucked down a hole until only his head was above ground. Kakashi rose up from the ground near him. You know playing with fire is dangerous, Kakashi said before walking back to the open field, leaving Sasuke unable to move. It wasn't long before Naruko tried to charge Kakashi. Naruko faced Kakashi off in taijutsu, but it wasn't long before Kakashi sent a good solid punch to Naruko's stomach. However, instead of a grunt of pain, Naruko burst into smoke. Kakashi wasn't worried though, as he spun around to see the real Naruko reaching for the bells. Kakashi kicked her back into the forest just like he did with Minima. The test went on like this. Sasuke, Naruko and Minima would try and take the bells, but in the end none of them even got close. The time ran out, but Kakashi said he would give them one more chance after they ate. But not before he tied Naruko to a post and told Minima and Sasuke not to feed her, and then disappeared. Minima and Sasuke ate their lunch, but after Naruko's stomach started growling, Minima decided to have mercy on her sister and broke Kakashi rule and feed her. Sasuke eventually helped too. Then something unexpected happened. Kakashi came back and told them they passed. He then went on to explain the importance of teamwork. So in the end everything worked out and Team 7 would start missions tomorrow, and they couldn't be happier. Land of Frost. Mito was the happiest she had ever been. Finding Naruto was the greatest decision she had ever made, and today was the day she would finally start her ninja training with Hanabi and Hitomi. They hadn't been able to do it for a week because Kai's had to get the spy network set up, but he had just given Naruto the okay. The girls could finally leave the house. They had only left 2 times before. The first time they left Naruto's apartment was to move into a house. Kai's gave them the house because it was in his territory, which he owned most of the buildings in, so it would be easier to watch the girls, and he wasn't doing anything with it anyways. The house was pretty big, not as big as the mansion Mito had grown up in, but it was big enough for each the girls and Naruto could have their own room. The second time they left the house was to buy ninja supplies and new clothes. Mito was excited because it would have been the first time that she ever got stuff that was her own. Her parents never brought her anything, and when she needed new things she would just get all the old stuff that Naruko and Minima didn't use anymore. Naruto also told them they could buy whatever they wanted. It turns out that raiding bandit camps was pretty profitable, and since Naruto never really bought anything he had tons of money saved up. So the girls went on a shopping spree, something that Mito had been denied for her either life. Hanabi now wore a dark purple sleeveless jacket with the hood always up, since Naruto had told her that even with the spy network her eyes would be a dead giveaway to anyone passing by that she was a Hyuga. Since Hanabi didn't want to wear a mask, she decided on a hood to cover her eyes. She also wore dark blue umbu-style pants with blue shinobi shoes. 2 kunai holsters were resting on top of her but slightly covered by her jacket. Hitomi now wore a black short-sleeved shirt with fishnet underneath. She had blue pants with the right pant leg going all the way down to her blue shinobi shoes, while the left pant leg stopped a bit above her ankle. She also had a kunai holster strapped to her right leg. Mito went a little more extravagant than her 2 friends, since she had never gotten to do this before. She had on crimson red shinobi shoes along with crimson red pants. She had a belt around her waist which kept her kunai holster on her right thigh. She had on a white long-sleeve shirt with red flames coming from the cuffs and stopping halfway up her forearm. Of course, all the girls got a bunch of kunais and anything else they needed. Just thinking about the past week made Mito so happy. Naruto had done more for her in a week than her parents had done in 9 years, and today was going to be the best yet. Hurry up! Naruto called to Mito. Hi, Mito said, running downstairs so Naruto could take them to their first training spot. Naruto took them outside the city, much to the girls' surprise. They walked along a seemingly random road for a couple of hours before Naruto suddenly stopped. "All right, we're here," Naruto said. "What are you talking about?" Mito said, looking around and not seeing anything. Naruto just gave them his psychotic grin. "We're at your first test. You see, if I was a regular instructor you would have to go through a test before becoming genin. So I decided I would give you one to test your skills." Naruto reached into his pocket and pulled out 3 kunais that had each one of the girls' names carved into it. "Now your goal is to get the one with your name on it before the sun rises." "Tomorrow," Naruto said, pointing to the sun that was already starting to set. "It's as simple as that." Then Naruto threw each of the kunais over a hill. "Oh, by the way, you don't want to know what will happen if you can't get yours." The girls quickly climbed over the hill to find their kunais, but when they did their hearts skipped a beat. In the valley below was a huge bandit camp along with the kunais. Naruto must have scouted this place before and calculated where the kunais would land, because the kunais landed in such a way that none of the guards noticed. One of the kunais was embedded in some sort of flagpole towards the center of the camp. The second kunai was under a table where bandits were eating their dinner. They couldn't see the third kunai, but there was a small tear in one of the roof of a tent towards the back. The girls realized just how ridiculous this test was. For one, all the kunais had landed in places where they would hard to retrieve without being noticed, and since they were only academy students they doubted that even the 3 of them combined could take on a bandit camp this large. The kunais were also so far away they couldn't tell whose name was on which kunai. "Just how do you expect us to get them? You haven't given us any training yet. We'll be killed," Mito shouted, turning around to face Naruto, but when she did he was nowhere to be found. "Well, it looks like we're on our own," Hanabi said, looking back down at the camp. "What should we do?" Hitomi asked. "We should wait till it gets dark, then we can each go for one, and if it's not the right one we could just trade," Mito suggested. "Sounds like a good plan as any other," Hanabi said. "I'll go for the one in the tent." "I'll get the one under the table," Hitomi said. "Then I guess I got the one on the flagpole," Mito said. "Alright, I'm going to go around the camp so I'm closer to the tent," Hanabi said. "I'll do the same," Hitomi said. "Alright, good luck, we strike when the sun sets," Mito said. "Hi," the girls said as they separated. Naruto was watching the girls from a tree nearby. He was impressed they were working well together and realized that it didn't matter which one got which kunai. Now he just had to see if they had the skills to actually get the kunais. The girls waited for hours. The sun went down and most of the bandits went to sleep. There were a few guards, but it was down to a skeleton crew. There would be no better time to go. Hitomi went first. She darted around tents and guards until she got to the dining area. The dining area had a bunch of tables and the one with the kunai under it was towards the center, and that was the problem. There was no cover in the dining area. If she tried to bolt for it and grab the kunai, then she would be seen. Hitomi had to think of something. She had to get the guards to leave. She thought about it for a little bit before coming up with a solution. She picked up a rock and threw into a pot that was hanging on the other end of the dining area. The pot fell down and made a loud clanking sound. The guards went over to pick it back up, and that's when Hitomi ran and grabbed the kunai. Then she quickly but quietly ran back outside the camp. Hanabi went next. She activated her Byakugan and avoided every guard until she reached the tent. She could see the chakra signature of one guy in the tent. He was sitting at a desk that faced the opening of the tent, so there was no way Hanabi could enter without being seen. Lucky for her, the guy had his desk so close to the tent that while he was sitting the guy's back was practically touching the back of the tent. Hanabi focused and got into the stance that her father had drilled her in over 1,000 times. She then hit the tent with her palms with enough force that she managed to hit the guy's back as well. She blocked off all the chakra points she could, and the guy collapsed on the ground unconscious. Hanabi was pretty pleased with herself as she ran inside the tent and found the kunai under a different desk. Mito, having made her move around the same time Hanabi had, was already inside the camp looking at the flagpole. She was trying to figure out how to get the kunai down without anyone noticing her. Hanabi had taught her and Hitomi the tree walking exercises a while ago, but climbing the pole would instantly give her away. She pulled out one of her own kunais and aimed it at the kunai embedded in the flagpole. She was going to try and hit the kunai out, but she wasn't sure if she could do it. The only kunai training she had done was with the academy, and they really didn't teach her how to make shots as hard as this. She took aim and threw her kunai. It hit way below where she wanted it to, and it made a small thud noise which some on the guards took notice of but didn't investigate. Mito knew she couldn't miss. Aging the guards might not look into one small noise but multiple from the same place. They would surely investigate. Mito slowed her breathing just like they had taught her in the academy and threw another kunai. This one hit its mark and both of the kunais fell to the ground. Mito quickly snatched them up before the guards could come over. The girls met up outside the camp and Hanabi and Mito traded kunais since they got each other's. Even with all the careful sneaking around they did, they were in and out within an hour. So what are we going to do? Wait till sunrise for Accelerator to show up? Mito asked. That won't be necessary. You brats did a great job, Naruto said, jumping down from a tree. You got all the kunais with ample time left and you didn't even get injured, but that isn't your entire test. This next part may be even harder than the first part, but you'll have to do it or you can't become a ninja. And what are you going to have us do? Hitomi asked. Wait here, this won't take 5 minutes, Naruto said as pushed off the ground and propelled himself to the bandit camp. 4 minutes later Naruto came back and the bandit camp looked like it had been hit with an earthquake. For this part all you have to do is take the kunai you got and kill one of the bandits I left alive. The girls paled looking at Naruto. You really want us to kill someone? Hanabi said. Yes I do, Naruto said with no pity in his voice. The fact is ninja kill people, and since you brats are missing Nin, not only will you have to kill people more often, but you'll also have to eventually fight against people you know from the hidden leaf. If you can't kill a simple bandit, then there's no way you could kill someone you once knew. The girls all looked at the kunai in their hands, preparing themselves for what they were about to do before heading down to the camp. Naruto watched each of the girls walk up to a wounded bandit. They didn't look like they wanted to do it, but each one of them plugged their kunai through a bandit's head. When they came back they were sad and depressed. They each had a lot to think about, so the walk back to town was deadly quiet. Naruto didn't even say anything because even though he was a little sadistic and didn't have a problem with killing people, he knew that the brats wouldn't feel the same way. Mito was lying in bed late at night, but was unable to sleep. She had made her first kill and she couldn't get it out of her mind. Every time she closed her eyes the bandit's face appeared all bloody and bruised. He had begged her not to kill him, but she had plunged a kunai right through his skull. Mito knew that killing is what ninjas did, but hearing about it and doing it were so different. Mito just kept thinking, what if that guy had a family, or how it felt to see your friends die before your eyes only for you to die yourself. Mito sat up and brought her knees to her chest. She didn't think she would get any sleep tonight. Hanabi and Hitomi were probably the same way. Her parents had always told her and her sisters that killing was hard, but you got used to it. Mito didn't see how someone could ever get used to killing someone. Then again, Naruto had killed way more bandits that night than they did, and Mito was sure that he had killed a lot more before then too, so maybe she could become used to killing. Mito decided what she really needed was someone to talk to. Hanabi and Hitomi wouldn't help since they were in the same state as Mito, so there was only one person left. Mito got out of bed and wrapped her blanket around her before heading off to Naruto's room. Mito opened the door to Naruto's room as quietly as she could. Naruto's room was pretty bare with only a dresser and a bed. Mito was apparently quiet enough because Naruto was still sleeping. Naruto actually looked peaceful while he slept, opposed to the dark psychopath he was when he was awake. Mito wasn't bothered by his behavior, however. Naruto was her brother, and even though he was a little on the insane side, he had given Mito more attention and care than her parents ever did. Naruto, as if sensing Mito's presence, slowly stirred awake, his red eyes cutting through the darkness. "Hey brat, what are you doing in my room?" Naruto said, sitting up in his bed. "I just wanted to know if you had any advice for handling my first kill," Mito said, suddenly feeling really stupid for coming here. Naruto didn't look surprised, however. "I see, honestly I expected something like this to happen. You may think it was mean of me to make you kill someone so young in your life, but I feel like your first kill is something very important you have to learn. The truth is, the kill you three made were probably harder to do than most kills that will be required of you, since the bandits you killed were really no threat to you after I dealt with them. There was a reason for that thought. It's so when you're in a real fight and the person you have to kill is a threat to you, then it will be a lot easier to go thought with it. I know it might seem hard to accept now, but it will get better." Mito latched on the ever word. True, he said basically the same thing her parents had told her, that she would get used to it, but that way he explained it made Mito feel so much better. "Hey Naruto, can I ask you one more question?" Mito asked. Naruto didn't miss Mito using his real name instead of Accelerator, but he would let it slide this time. "What is it?" "What was your first kill like?" Mito asked. Naruto sighed and laid back down facing the ceiling. "I haven't thought about that in a long," Naruto said as he told Mito his story. Naruto at the age of 3 was curled up in the corner of his cell. He had red eyes and was still very pale due to his lack of sunlight, but his hair was the golden blonde he had inherited from his father. He was still scared of Orochimaru at this time, so when the snake unlocked his cell door, Naruto tried to make himself disappear by being as small as he could. "Come on now Naruto. It's time for your first test," Orochimaru hissed. Naruto, not wanting to make Orochimaru mad at him, got up and followed him. Naruto was pulling on the ring that had been on his wrist ever since he could remember. He hated it. It was itchy and made it hard to sleep with it constantly glowing. "Are you going to do more experiments on me?" Naruto said, risking a question. "Not today Naruto, because I believe I have completed what I set out to do. All those experiments were done to give you the ability to control vectors, and today we're going to see if all my work paid off," Orochimaru said. Naruto wanted to ask Orochimaru what a vector was, but couldn't since they made it to their destination. It was a large room that Naruto would become very familiar with in the future. There was a man already inside holding a knife. He looked like a common bandit with no real skills whatsoever. "All right Naruto, you will fight him," Orochimaru said. "What, but I don't have any weapons and he's scary looking," Naruto said, looking ready to cry. "I don't want to fight him." Orochimaru chuckled, seeming to take pleasure in the boy's fear. "Of course you have weapons. I just told you that you had the power to control vectors now. So prove to me that. These 3 years weren't wasted and use your new power." Orochimaru pointed to the ring that had stopped glowing. Naruto, not wanting to do this, but not really given a choice, stood across from the bandit. Orochimaru yelled begin and the bandit charged Naruto. Naruto still didn't know what a vector was, but it must be pretty powerful if Orochimaru had done all those hellish experiments on him for 3 years just to give Naruto the ability to control them. "Vector control!" Naruto yelled as the bandit continued to charge him. Nothing happened. The bandit got close enough to slash Naruto with the knife. Naruto fell backwards in pain, now with a deep gash on his arm which he brought up to defend it himself. Naruto was now terrified. This guy was trying to kill him and he had nothing to defend himself with. There was only one thing Naruto could think to do: run. He ran as fast as he could, but the bandit was gaining on him and was already taking swings with his knife. It was only due to Naruto's small size that he hadn't been decapitated. The chase ended all too soon, however, as Naruto tripped and fell to the ground. Naruto looked back to see he had tripped on a rock about the size of his hand. The bandit was also directly behind him. Naruto sat up, grabbed the rock and scooted back. The bandit walked towards Naruto, his knife still cutting the air. Naruto knew that the rock wouldn't stop the bandit, but Naruto didn't know what else to do. Naruto imagined the rock going super fast and crashing into his opponent, and surprisingly when Naruto threw the rocket went far faster than any 3 years should have the ability to achieve. It crashed into the bandit's skull. There was a loud crack and the bandit fell over his head a bloody mess. Naruto was breathing heavily when Orochimaru examined the body. Well, Naruto, it looks like he's dead. Your powers are truly something to behold. Orochimaru hissed. I didn't feel bad about killing him because if I didn't kill him he would have killed me. Naruto said. Plus I knew there would be another test soon, and I did everything I could to learn my new powers. That's when I started working on my reflection. At first it was pathetically weak. I could only reflect kunais and some other object, but soon I learned all about different kinds of vectors. You see, my reflection only works if I know the properties of the vector I'm reflecting, but once I figure it out then that vector will always be reflected. I worked on reflecting all the chakra elements. Lighting was the hardest, but I eventually got that down too. Up until that point it had been kill or be killed, so I didn't really think about the people I killed, and by the time I was powerful enough to actually think about the people I killed I had done it so much that it didn't bother me anymore. Mito couldn't believe what Shu was hearing. This was the first time Naruto really talked about his time with Orochimaru and all the stuff he had gone through. It made Mito feel like she was a spoiled brat for coming in here complaining to Naruto about one kill when he had gone through much worse at a much younger age. I'm sorry, I had no idea. Mito said. It's alright, but I guess that story didn't really help you since I never had to go through what you're going through. Naruto said. No. Mito yelled. That story helped way more than you could ever know. Naruto smiled like a regular person, which was unusual. Then I guess I'll take your word for it. Naruto said as he put his hand on Mito's head and rubbed her hair. It felt nice. Her hair was moving strangely due to Naruto's reflection, but it reminded Mito of the time so very long ago when her dad would rub her hair. Mito wished she could stay like this forever, but all too quickly Naruto removed his hand and laid back. Alright, go back to bed, you brat. Mito signed but did as she was told, feeling like she could actually go to sleep now. The next day was an interesting day. It seemed like Hitomi and Hanabi had also found a way to cope with taking a life, as they seemed mostly okay. Naruto took them to a nearby hot spring to start their training. Accelerator, why are we at a hot spring? I thought we were training. Hitomi asked. This is training. Naruto said, pointing to the river that cut in front of the hot spring. I'm going to teach you how to walk on water like this. Naruto walked right up to the river bank and then stepped on the water. He went out a little ways before turning to face them. It's just like tree walking, but you have to match your chakra to the flow of the water. But shouldn't you be teaching you some offensive jutsu before you teach us how to water walk? Mito said, because that was the way her parents taught Naruko and Minama. Normally you wouldn't learn water walking until later, but this is only because under normal conditions you would be expected to go out on mission. They can't send out ninjas who only know how to do chakra exercises, so they teach them jutsus first. I, however, don't have to send you on missions, so you'll be learning water walking first, so let's see how you do. Naruto said. Hitomi and Mito walked to the river bank and channeled chakra to their feet. They each took one step onto the water and immediately fell in. That's when they realized how hot the water was, and the two girls got out as fast as they could. Why is the water so hot? Mito yelled, turning to look at Naruto only to see Hanabi standing on the water right next to Naruto. Looks like we've got a natural. Naruto said, looking impressed. The Hyuga clan requires good chakra control to use the gentle fist, so I had to learn how to water walk, and for the record I'm the only one doing it the right way. Hanabi said, looking at Naruto's feet with her Byakugan activated. That when Mito and Hitomi noticed the difference between Naruto and Hanabi. Hanabi was standing on the water without causing any disturbance on water below her. The water under Naruto's feet, however, kept rippling. Yeah, you're right. Naruto said. I'm not using chakra, instead I'm just repelling the water below me slightly. It just refills as soon as I repel it so I can stand on it. Do you know how to do anything without the use of your vectors? Hanabi asked. Not really, But hey, it looks like we don't have to worry about you, so you get to relax with me while the other brats work on this," Naruto said, walking towards the riverbank with Hanabi following close behind. "Wait, you just going to leave us?" Hitomi said. "Yeah, the only way to master this is through lots of practice, and by the way, the water hot to discourage you from falling in. We'll be in the hot spring if you need us," Naruto said, waving them off as he and Hanabi walked through the entrance of the hot spring. "Why did you have me stop training?" Hanabi asked. "Because it would be pointless to have you do something that you already know how to do," Naruto said. "Besides, I was planning on coming here anyway, but now you get to relax with me. You know, if you Hyugas know how to do that sort of thing." Hanabi glared at Naruto, looking very offended. Of course Hyugas know how to relax. Naruto just gave her a look that seemed to say, "Really? At least I think they do," Hanabi said, a little embarrassed. "Whatever," Naruto said before walking into the boys' locker room. Hanabi decided that a little relaxation would be good for her. She walked into the girls' locker room and stripped out of her clothes. She wrapped a towel around her before heading out to the hot springs. When she got out there, she noticed something that was horribly wrong. The boys and the girls had different locker rooms, but they lead to the same place. This was a mixed-sex hot spring. There weren't a lot of people, but there were quite a few couples. Hanabi then noticed that Naruto was already into hot spring, relaxing by the edge. Hanabi ran up to Naruto, ready to chew him out. Her cheeks were red and the towel gripped tighter to her body. "What the hell? Why didn't you tell me this was mixed? Are you some kind of pervert? Why does it matter? Just get in," Naruto said, obviously irritated. "No way, I am not bathing with guys," Hanabi said, blushing even harder. Naruto just sighed. "You really don't know how to relax, do you? But if it bothers you so much, I'll handle it for you," Naruto said, standing up. Luckily the water was high enough to reach his waist, so Hanabi was spared for seeing his lower regions. Naruto walked around the hot spring using his vectors to move the heat from the water away from the other people there. The other guests suddenly found themselves very cold, and no matter where they went it didn't get any warmer because Naruto would keep moving the heat. Eventually the other guests got fed up with the lack of hot water and left. Soon it was only Naruto and Hanabi left. Naruto dispersed the heat back to the water and sat down where he was sitting before. "Happy now?" Hanabi was still glaring at Naruto, but since she couldn't get him to leave, this was the best she was going to get. She walked over to the other side of the hot spring. As quick as she could, she took off her towel and got in so Naruto wouldn't see her naked. Naruto, however, did see her naked and couldn't help himself. "You know who have pretty big boobs for a 9-year-old? Maybe I should teach you some seduction techniques," Naruto said, chuckling to himself. Hanabi blushed bright red and started splashing water at Naruto. It just got reflected back at Hanabi, however. But even so, Hanabi kept splashing, hoping some way somehow the water got through Naruto's reflection. It did not. Eventually Hanabi realized it was never going to work and gave up. "Now that you've calmed down, we need to have a talk," Naruto said, suddenly sounding very serious. "Why did you leave Konoha?" Hanabi was shocked by the sudden question. "What?" Naruto put on a smug grin. "You say you left Konoha because your father forced you to train too hard and you were sick of how the main branch treated the side branch. If that was the case, however, then you would have stayed in Konoha, so when you became clan head you could fix things, but instead you came to me, a person who was going to train you just as hard as your father. So I'll ask again, what is the real reason you left Konoha?" Hanabi clenched her fists underwater. "I left because I hate the Hyugas. The side branch hates me because I'm the heir. The main branch kept me locked up in the Hyuga compound because my sister was too weak to become the clan head. The only reason I was allowed to hang out with Mito was because she was the Hokage's daughter, and being her friend would allow the Hyugas more political power in the future. I left because I wanted the same freedom my sister got. She was allowed to do whatever she wanted. She could leave the Hyuga compound and make friends while I was trained to the bone. After Hanabi was done, she looked up at Naruto, who had been sitting there quietly the whole time. Naruto didn't seem fazed about anything Hanabi had just said, however. In fact, he seemed a little happy. Well, that's a relief. I thought you wanted to help the Hyugas and wouldn't be able to fight anyone from your clan, but now I see that you would be glad to have the chance to finally show that clan of yours how wrong they really are. Naruto actually leaned back and laughed. That's when Hanabi realized that Mito's brother was nothing like any of the other ninja in Konoha. He didn't believe in the will of fire. He was insane and would let they do whatever they wanted, whether it was right or wrong, and Hanabi actually liked him this way. Konoha. Team 7 here to report another successful mission. Kakashi said to Minato. Hey, can we get a C-rank mission this time? Minima asked her dad. Minato let out a sigh. For the last time, Minima, you can't request a C-rank mission. It's up to Jounin instructor to decide when you're ready for a C-rank mission. Hey Kakashi, can we have a C-rank mission? Minima asked. No Minima, in fact we wouldn't even be taking another D rank since it's so late. Kakashi said. Alright, I guess we'll just go home then. Minima said. The girls and Sasuke walked out the door and headed home while Kakashi stayed behind. Minima is really in a hurry to get out of the village. Kakashi said. Yeah, she can be quite the handful, but she has the right intentions. Minato said. How is the search going? Kakashi asked. Not good, I have no idea where they could be. Jiraiya and I are checking everywhere, but we're getting nothing. Hayashi and Itachi are breathing down my neck, and Kushina is tearing herself up over not being able to catch them in time. Minato said, looking like a defeated man. Kakashi felt bad for his sensei and Kushina. Maybe I should let them go on a C rank. You and Kushina need the time alone, and besides they have completed the number of D rank required and Naruko hasn't had an incident since she graduated from the academy. Yeah, I guess you're right, Team 7 is strong in Kushina and I could use some time to talk about what happened. Minato said, looking a little better. I just hope everything goes okay. I wouldn't want Kushina worrying about our other children. Things did not go okay. The next day Kakashi told Team 7 that they were going on a C-rank mission. They were of course excited and got ready right away. Their mission was to escort a bridge builder named Tazuna. It seemed like it was going to be a simple mission, but when they got attacked by the demon brother, Kakashi knew it would be anything but. Despite being attacked by ninja, Team 7 decided to stick with the mission after hearing Tazuna's story. Things got even worse when they were attacked by Zabuza, one of the 7 swordsmen. After Kakashi defeated him with the help of Sasuke, Naruko and Minima, a hunter Nin came and took Zabuza's body away. Kakashi passed out soon afterwards and they had to take him to Tazuna's house. When he woke up and was in bad shape and was confined to a crutch. Then he told them that Zabuza was more than likely still alive, and that Hunter Nin was his assistant. So while Kakashi got some rest, Naruko and Minima decided to look around town. Sasuke stayed at the house and Kakashi would be giving them some extra training later that day to be better prepared to face Zabuza. The town was in rough shape. Actually, rough would be putting it too nicely. The houses were wooden shakes that looked ready to fall over if someone breathed too hard. Kids were in the streets wearing little more than rags. It just made Minima and Naruko depressed. Minima couldn't believe someone would be evil enough to do something like this. Naruko couldn't even bring herself to look and instead looked at the ground. It was the first time something had ever really bothered her. She had never cared about other people until Mito left. In Naruko's mind, the whole world revolved around her, and if she was happy, then it made sense that everyone else was happy too. But that wasn't the case. There were people who dreamed of simple things like having a good meal and having a safe house. Naruko clenched her fists. It wasn't so long ago that there had been a young girl who dreamed about finding her brother, and what did Naruko do to that dream? Laugh at it, told the girl that her brother was dead. Then Naruko would go back to her nice warm bed and slept soundly, thinking about how much better she was than everyone else. Naruko couldn't believe she did that and enjoyed it too. Hey Naruko, are you alright? Minama said. Naruko stopped just now, noticing that she had clenched her fists so hard that her nails had cut into her palms. Yeah, I'm fine, I was just thinking about some things. Naruko said. Alright then. Minama said, although she knew what Naruko was thinking of. Now Minama never wanted her younger sister to leave, but it had honestly been the greatest thing that had ever happened to Naruko. She cared about people now and she felt bad for what she did. Minama smiled to herself. When they found Naruto and Mito, maybe Naruko would apologize to Mito and they could be a true family. The next week flew by. Kakashi taught them how to water walk since Minama and Naruko had already learned the tree climbing exercises from their parents, and Itachi taught Sasuke. The bridge was also ahead of schedule thanks to the help of Team 7, but on the last day of building, Zabuza and his assistant showed up and Kakashi told Team 7 to guard Tazuna while he fought Zabuza. While he was doing that, however, Zabuza's assistant, who told Team 7 that his name was Haku, separated them from Tazuna by making a dome of ice mirrors. This is bad, Minama said as she blocked another Senbon. Things were not looking good. Haku was throwing a seemingly endless supply of Senbons at them. They managed to block or dodge most of them, but they were just so fast. It didn't take long for each one of them to have several Senbons sticking out of them. What are we supposed to do? Naruko asked as another Senbon was lodged in her skin. Naruko was scared. She was having a hard time dodging and was having to rely on Minama and Sasuke to cover her. She felt so useless. Was she really this weak? Fireball Jutsu! Sasuke shouted. He sent a fireball crashing towards one of the mirrors, but it didn't even leave a scratch. That won't work, Haku said. Shut up! Minama yelled as she sent a chain towards the mirror she thought Haku was in, but just like Sasuke's fireball, it didn't do any damage. Damn it! I'm sorry, but Zabuza needs my help, so I will have to end this now, Haku said. Then all of the Hakus in the mirrors pulled out Senbons. Goodbye, Leaf Ninja. Sasuke, Naruko and Minama quickly stood back to back in a triangle formation. Haku launched the Senbons. Team 7 tried as best as they could to block, but there was just too many and more than a few hit their marks. Lucky none of them hit anything vital. Haku wasn't finished yet, however, and threw a Senbon at Minama's head. Minama tried to block with her kunai but discovered that her arm had been parlayed. The Senbon was coming closer and she saw her death. However, right before it hit, Sasuke stepped in front of her and blocked the Senbon. Are you okay? Sasuke asked, turning to Minama. Minama gasped, Sasuke, your eyes. Sasuke turned to look at the ice mirrors and saw that he had awoken the Sharingan. You're an Uchiha then, Haku said. That's right, and now that I have my Sharingan, there's no way you're going to beat us, Sasuke said. We'll see about that, Haku said, throwing more Senbons at Sasuke, but now Sasuke could see them much easier. No matter how many Senbons Haku threw, Sasuke was able to block them. Haku was getting more and more worried by the second. His chakra was running low and Zabuza was still fighting Kakashi. He needed to end this, and the best way to do that was to go after the weakest link. Haku quickly changed his target and threw about 6 Senbons at Naruko. Naruko, watch out! Sasuke yelled, being too far away to do anything. Naruko saw the Senbons coming and knew if they hit she would end up died, but she was too scared to move. The Senbons hit flesh, but not Naruko's flesh. Minama had jumped in front of her and had taken all the Senbons to the back. Naruko's eyes went wide as she saw Minama collapse to the floor. Minama, Minama, Naruko said as she bent down and looked at Minama. She wasn't moving. She wasn't breathing. Naruko had tears running down her face. Come on, wake up. You can't be dead. You said you were going to make us a true family. How can we do that if you're not here with us? Please don't leave me alone. Naruko cried, and for the first time in her life Naruko released demonic chakra without meaning to. Haku knew she was in trouble right when she saw the red chakra envelop Naruko. It wasn't even a second later when Haku felt something griping his neck and sent him crashing through his own mirror. Naruko was on top of him with red eyes promising death. Haku knew this was the end and accepted it. Kakashi felt the demonic chakra from his side of the bridge and knew that things had gone from bad to worse. He quickly finished off Zabuza with a Chidori and ran off to find Naruko. When he got there, the demonic chakra had vanished. Haku was a bloody mess on the bridge, barely recognizable. Sasuke was standing behind Naruko, who was crying over Minama's body. Kakashi felt a pain in his heart having guessed what happened. He walked over to Naruko and put his hand on her shoulder. "Naruko, I don't know what to say. She's died and it's all my fault." Naruko cried. "No, it's not," Kakashi said. "Yes, it is," Naruko yelled. "I didn't do anything that whole fight but stand there and hold everyone else back, and it's all because I didn't care. If only I had been serious about being a ninja. If only I trained like Minama, then this wouldn't have happened. I should have been the one to die." As Naruko was talking, Minama opened her eyes. "Hey, don't write me off that quickly," Minama said, coughing up so blood, but still managed to give Naruko a big smile. Naruko was in tears. "Minama," she said as she bent down and gave Minama a hug. "I was so scared. I promise I'll work harder. You won't have to carry me any longer. I'll hold you to that," Minama said. "Well, isn't this touching?" a voice said. Kakashi and Team 7 turned to see the voice belonged to a short man in a suit, and he had a whole lot of bandits behind him. "That must be Gato," Sasuke said. "Yeah, it is," said another voice. Team 7 turned again to see all the villages armed with knives and pitchforks. "And we're going to stop him. Mind if we lead a hand?" Kakashi asked. The fight was over before it even began. Gato was killed and the bandits that weren't killed ran off. Minama was taken back to Tazuna's house to get treated. It turns out it wasn't as bad as they thought, and she could walk again by the next day. The villagers gave them a great farewell before they left for the Leaf. They even named the bridge after Minama's suggestion, the Great Naruto Bridge. Of course, she did have to explain who Naruto was and why she wanted the bridge to be named after him. When they got back to the Leaf, Kushina almost killed Kakashi for putting her daughters in so much danger, but after she heard the girls explain, she let Kakashi off easy. He would only have to spend a week in the hospital. But the real surprise came when they went back home. Minato and Jiraiya were there congratulating the girls on their mission when Naruko stood up and announced she had something to say. She got on her hands and knees and started apologizing for being the reason that Mito ran away. Kushina, Minato and Jiraiya were shocked at first, but then Naruko went on to explain everything that happened the past 12 years. She told them how she bullied Mito and how So would joke about Naruto's death, and how she would release the Kyuubi's chakra of purpose. By the end, Naruko was in tears. Minato and Kushina couldn't believe it. That all this stuff was going on without their knowledge. Now they knew why Mito had left. It had been because of Naruko, but even thought they were both severely disappointed in Naruko. Neither one of them could be angry because Naruko was honestly sorry for what she did. "Naruko, it's going to be okay," Kushina said. Naruko looked up, not believing her. "It's going to be okay because when Mito hears you apologize just like you did now, I'm sure she'll come back." Then Minama walked over to Naruko. "I'm proud of you, and I think you need to be proud of yourself too," she said. Then she took the leaf headband off Naruko's arm and wrapped it around her forehead. Naruko gave a small smile. She couldn't believe that they forgave her after all she had done, and she promised she would do something to truly earn that forgiveness. Land of Frost. A couple weeks later. Mito rolled out of the way to dodge a pebble that went flying past her. She was covered in sweat and panting hard, but she couldn't take a break because another pebble was heading her way. She jumped out of the way, barely avoiding the pebble. This was the most difficult thing Mito had ever done. At least Hitomi and Hanabi weren't doing much better. Naruto was currently training them. He was sharpening their reaction time and dodging skills by throwing accelerated pebbles at them. They were in forest and the goal of this exercise was to reach Naruto. Now this was easier said than done. Those pebbles went insanely fast, and Naruto wasn't even using his full power because if he was the pebbles would go right through the girls instead of just giving them a nasty bruise. This had been the majority of their training after Mito and Hitomi learned to water walk. The first time they did this the girls would be lucky to avoid one of the pebbles. Hanabi tried using her palms revolving technique which was the last jutsu she learned before leaving the leaf. But Hanabi couldn't keep up the spinning for too long, and when she was done a pebble would nail her right in the stomach. That first day was a nightmare and all the girls went home bruised and sore. But now a few weeks later they could dodge most of the pebbles. That didn't mean they could get anywhere close to Naruto however. They were almost done with today's training when suddenly the pebbles stopped coming. The girls were confused and looked to see what was going on. Naruto was scanning the forest looking for someone when he flicked a pebble towards a tree to the right of him. This one was at full power because it went right through the truck. The girls thought Naruto was crazy, but then they heard a voice coming from behind the tree. "Damn, you could have killed me, Naruto. Oh wait, you go by accelerator now don't you?" The girls were on edge especially since this person knew Naruto's real name, but Naruto didn't seem concerned. "The next one will kill you if you don't tell me what you're doing here, Tayuya," Naruto said. A girl with red hair and a black hat walked out from behind the tree. "I'm impressed you remember my name since you left almost as soon as I began, but I'm here because Orochimaru has a job for you." "Your point is?" "In case you haven't noticed, I don't really work for Orochimaru anymore," Naruto said. "I think it will be in your best interest too. After all, you wouldn't want your identity to be leaked, would you?" Tayuya said. Naruto looked at her in anger, obviously not happy that she had the upper hand. "What is this job that Orochimaru needs done?" Tayuya smiled and handed Naruto a scroll. "That's a map to the Otogakure. Be there in 1 week. Orochimaru will explain everything there. Don't be late," Tayuya said before jumping into a nearby tree and started tree hopping away, leaving Naruto and the girls alone. Naruto unrolled the scroll. The girls filed in behind him wondering what he was going to say. "Pack your bags, brats. We're going to Otogakure to meet Orochimaru." The girls paled, having never wanted to meet the Leafs' #1 traitor. "But why, I thought you hated Orochimaru," Hitomi said. "I do, but he's giving me an invite I can't refuse," Naruto said, not looking too happy himself. "But wouldn't it be safer for us to stay here?" Mito said. "No, I'm not leaving you alone because Tayuya saw you brats and Orochimaru will defiantly hear about it. Plus I don't trust Kais to not give you up to the highest bidder while I'm away," Naruto said. The girls knew there was no going against Naruto. They headed to the house and got everything they would need for the journey. Otogakure wasn't so much a village as it was a series of dark, tight tunnels. In Mito's opinion, it was perfect for a snake. They were being led by some guard to Orochimaru. Mito, Hanabi and Hitomi hated every step as it took them closer to Orochimaru, but much to the girls' displeasure the guard stopped in front of a door. "He's in here," the guard said. Naruto didn't miss a beat. He pushed the doors open with no fear, the girls following close behind. Orochimaru was sitting at a table in all his ugly glory. Mito had never seen a picture of him before, but snake was the perfect way to describe him. He was paler than Naruto was and he had grin that screamed evil. "I see you brought guest," Orochimaru said, his eyes examining each one, the girls seeming to take special interest in Hitomi. "I'm surprised you didn't. Where's Kabuto?" Naruto said, taking a seat across from Orochimaru. "He on a mission for me, hopefully you'll meet him on your mission," Orochimaru said. "Ah yes, the job that you are blackmailing me to do." "What is it?" Naruto said, not sounding the least bit happy. "So demanding, don't you want to talk about the good old days when you were still with me before we talk business?" Orochimaru said mockingly. Naruto sent him a glare, obliviously not amused. Fine, let's talk business. It's simple, really. All I want you to do is take part in Konoha Chunin exam. I don't think they'll let a B-rank ninja participate. Naruto said. Oh no, you won't be taking the exam, you'll be a jounin instructor for Orogekure. Orochimaru said. I see that is pretty simple, but I doubt that's all of it, so I'll make you a deal. Naruto said, giving Orochimaru his psychotic grin. You see these brats behind me? Well, I can't take them to Konoha, and I'm not leaving them alone. So I need someone to take care of them while I'm away doing you dirty work. Now I don't have anyone to fill that position, but I'm sure you have many qualified ninja that can look after them. You wouldn't mind giving me one, would you? Orochimaru wasn't fazed by Naruto's request. I will arrange someone to look after them. No. I'm not letting you choose who watches them. I'm going to let them choose. That way I'll get a ninja that they want, and by the way, the ninja isn't alone, it's a keep. Naruto said, knowing that taking one of Orochimaru's ninjas would make him mad. Orochimaru did indeed look at Naruto with hate, but after thinking about it for a little bit he agreed. They can wander the base and take anyone who's willing to go with them while we talk about the rest of the plan. Naruto turned to look at the girls. Find someone who is an experiment that has no loyalty to Orochimaru, and of course make sure you like whoever you pick because you'll be spending about a month with them. The girls nodded, not looking to forward wandering around Orochimaru's lair, but anything beats staying here with the man himself. The girls looked around the base and various holding cells, but none of prisoners were even close to right. Most of them they too weak or they were straight up nutballs. The girls went at this for a while and were beginning to think that they would just have to pick the best of the worst, but then they wandered into a room full of what looked like giant tanks of water. Hanabi was curious and used her Byakugan. They all looked like regular tanks of water except for one towards the center. It had a chakra signature coming from it. The girls went to investigate it. Are you sure, Hanabi, because it looks like all the other ones? Mito said. Yeah, this one is different. Hanabi said. But how? Hitomi said. Then all the girls were shocked when a fourth voice suddenly spoke, and it was coming from the tank. Hey, could you break the glass so I can get out? The voice said. The voice had the same aura as Naruto, cockiness and a little bit of insanity. Maybe, if you tell us who you are. Hitomi said. Even though none of the girls could see it, they could tell the person in the tank was smiling and had the same psychopathic smile as Naruto. That's a pretty interesting plan. Naruto said, leaning back into his chair. When you first told me that you would be attacking the leaf, I thought you were crazy, but with Tsunegekure on our side along with a jinchuriki, it might actually work. I'm glad you agree, so you'll be joining us? Orochimaru said. Naruto sneered. Like you're giving me a choice. Meanwhile, in another part of the base, the girls were making a deal with the guy they had found in the tank. My name is Suigetsu Hozuki and I'm originally from Kirigakure. Why can't we see your body? Hitomi asked. My clan's technique allows me to liquefy my body, but as long as I'm in this tank I can't reform. Suigetsu said. What do you think, should we pick him? Hitomi asked her friends. Well, that ability alone makes him pretty powerful, but other than that we don't know anything about his skills or background. Hanabi said. Yeah, but who in this place are we going to get that kind of information from? I say go with him, he's the only suitable candidate we've found so far. Mito said. Alright, Suigetsu will free you, but we have a few conditions. Hitomi said. Hitomi then explained who they were and why they needed him. So all I have to do is take care of you brats and you'll free me. That seems like a pretty good deal to me. Suigetsu said. Great, he's already calling us brats already. Mito said. By the way, who is the guy that normally takes care of you? Suigetsu asked. The girls looked at each other, not sure if they should tell him or not, but since he would be taking care of them and everyone in this place seemed to know Naruto's name already, it probably wouldn't hurt. His name's Naruto. Mito said. I've heard of that guy, he's sort of a legend down here. He's the one who escaped, but hey, I guess now I get to be a legend too. Suigetsu said. Mito took out an explosive tag from her kunai pouch. Will this be okay? Go ahead. Mito placed the tag on the tank and the three girls walked away. Mito then did a hand sign and the tag exploded. Water poured out of the hole and onto the floor. Once the tank was empty, the girls walked up to the huge pool of water on the floor. Then a head with white hair and purple eyes emerged, then a neck and then a body. The girls weren't expecting him to be so young. He only looked to be about Naruto's age, and that only made the next part all the more worse. He was completely naked and had no problems being in the presence of three girls. They blushed horribly and tried to avert their eyes, but it was too late, the damage had been done. It's great to be free. Suigetsu said, then turned the girls who were facing away from him for obvious reasons. But now that I'm free, why do I have to listen to you brats? After all, I have better things to do than take care of some little kids. The girls were shocked. He wasn't going to keep his end of the deal, but they guessed they should have expected that. Suigetsu was about to walk away when a voice stopped him. You don't have to listen to them, but you will listen to me. Naruto said, emerging from the shadows. You must be Naruto. Suigetsu said, turning to face Naruto. I am, but I prefer you call me Accelerator. Naruto said. Okay, Accelerator, then answer me this. Suigetsu smiled, showing off his sharpened teeth, and faster than any of the girls could see, he turned into water or reformed behind Naruto. Why do I have to listen to you? He said as he pointed a finger gun at Naruto's head, but as he did, his fingers suddenly explode into water. Suigetsu seemed surprised as he looked at where his finger was just a few moments ago. Naruto glared at Suigetsu, red eyes meeting purple. That's why. Suigetsu let out a small chuckle as he stepped back and reformed his finger. All right, I give. He said, holding his hands up. Naruto sent him one more glare before turning to face the girls. Let's get out of here, then I'll tell you what's going to happen. The girls nodded. Naruto turned to Suigetsu, and you put on some clothes. Yes, sir, Accelerator, sir. Suigetsu said in a mocking tone. Suigetsu found some clothes which consisted of a purple sleeveless shirt and blue pants. He also had a belt around his waist which held 2 water bottles and another belt across his chest. The group left the base and headed into the nearby woods. Hanabi, check if there is anyone around. Naruto said. Byakugan. Hanabi said. After looking around for a little bit, she confirmed that no one was watching them. Alright, then let's discuss the plan. Naruto said. So basically Orochimaru wants to invade the leaf and he wants me to help. Do you think he can do it? Mito asked. Naruto burst out laughing. Hell no, he's gotten too cocky. He thinks that just because he has the help of Suna and their jinchuriki that he can take on the leaf. Well, this plan is going to crash and burn and I'm invited to come along. So what are you going to do? Hitomi asked. I have to go along with it since Orochimaru blackmailing me, so I'll be leaving in a week, which leaves you brats on your own with our new friend here. Naruto said, eyeing Suigetsu. So you 3 will be under his care when I'm not here. Why do I have to play babysitter? I have my own agenda. Suigetsu said. Because we freed you, and I'm sure whatever your agenda is isn't that important. Naruto said, shooting Suigetsu another glare. It is important. I'm going to collect the 7 swords of the mist and recreate the 7 swordsmen and become their leader. Suigetsu said with the more passion they had ever heard from him. Naruto seemed to actually take interest in his goal, however, and gave him his psychotic smile. That's great, it gives you another reason to take care of the brats. And what would that be? Suigetsu said curiously. I know where the Kubikirabocho is. Naruto said. Suigetsu and the girls were shocked. How do you know where it is? Suigetsu said, suddenly sounding very excited. Kai's hires his thugs out sometimes, and recently he hired some out to a man named Gato. Most of them were killed on the mission, but Kai's told me that Gato had hired Zabuza before that and he had been killed. Apparently he was buried with his sword. Naruto said, enjoying having Suigetsu warped around his finger. And where would this be? Suigetsu asked. Hey Mito, give me one of you explosive tags and a scroll. Naruto said, ignoring Suigetsu's question. Mito handed him what he asked for. Naruto opened the scroll and wrote something in it. Then he stuck the explosive tag inside the scroll and closed it. I just put the location of the sword inside the scroll, but as you saw I also put an explosive tag in it, so if you try to open it carelessly then it will explode. The only way to know for sure where to open it is to use Hanabi's Byakugan. Now if you can prove yourself trustworthy to the girls when I'm gone, then they might open it for you. Suigetsu gave Naruto a nasty look, but knew there was nothing he could do about it. So what do I have to do to get the sword? It's simple, just take care of the brats. Naruto said. The only rules are that you can't let them be discovered and you can't do anything that would get them killed. Also you have to be back in the land of frost before I get back, but other than that you have free reign. You can take them wherever you want, and if you feel so inclined teach them whatever you want. If Hanabi doesn't open the scroll for you, then I'll open when I get back. So I have free reign, then maybe this won't be so bad. Suigetsu said after thinking it over. I'm glad we were able to reach an understanding. Naruto said. Now we'll be spending the next week in a nearby town. Orochimaru has assured me that none of Jiraiya's spies are there, so we should be okay. They booked 2 hotel rooms, Naruto and Suigetsu in one room and the girls in the other. The next couple of days the girls got to work on their taijutsu by sparring with Suigetsu, something that would have been impossible with Naruto since the girls would just end up breaking their wrists. Suigetsu wasn't any pushover either. Even with all 3 of the girls fighting him, they had trouble landing a hit, and even then it didn't do anything since his body was made of water. Suigetsu even looked like he was having fun fighting the girls, but this may have only been to convince them to open the scroll. Eventually the girls got used to having Suigetsu around, and even warmed up to him. He was like Naruto in a lot of ways. He and Naruto even seemed to get along since they had so much in common. They even went out one night and massacred an entire bandit camp, which the girls thought was some strange bonding experience for the 2 of them. So when it was time for Naruto to leave, he felt pretty comfortable leaving them in Suigetsu's care. Alright brats, I'll be back in a month, but before I go I'm going to give you something to do while I'm gone. Naruto said, holding out 3 pieces of paper. Take one and apply your chakra to it. Each one of the girls took one and sent chakra to it. Hitomi's burst into flames, no surprise there. Hanabi's became damp and Mito's wrinkled. What happened? Hitomi asked. Those papers are used to find out what chakra affinity you have. Naruto said. I want you to be able to do the basic technique for your affinity by the time I get back. Hanabi, you have a water affinity, so Suigetsu should be able to help you. Mito, you have lighting, and Hitomi, you have fire, so you'll need to do some research on what you need to do. That you task, now I need to get going. Just be careful. Mito said, looking a little worried. After hearing that, Naruto proceeded to flick her in the head. Why did you do that? Mito said, rubbing her head. Because you were scared, thinking that Az was going to die. Naruto said. Well, I've got news for you, there is nobody in the leaf that can take me down, so don't be thinking that I'm not coming back. Hi, the girls said. Naruto gave one of his rare smiles before leaving. Hey, why don't you open that scroll? If you do, I'll teach you how to use your water affinity. Suigetsu said to Hanabi right when Naruto was out of sight. I think you should teach me first. Hanabi said, much to Suigetsu's displeasure. Besides, how important can these swords be? Hanabi would regret saying that as Suigetsu nearly had a heart attack. You're saying you don't know about the 7 swordsmen of the mist and their swords? The girls shook their heads. Then I'll need to educate you. Suigetsu then spent the rest of the day lecturing them on the swords and just why he wanted them and their importance. It was horrible. Naruto made his way to Orochimaru's base to pick up his genin team. When he got there, 2 boys and a girl about his age were waiting for him. So are you 3 my genin team? Naruto said. The 3 of them looked shocked to see Naruto. How are you our instructor, you the same age as us? The female of the group said. Age doesn't have anything to do with power. Now give me your names so we can get going. Naruto said. It's polite to give your name first, the male who looked like a hunchback said. Great, they talk back. Naruto said to himself. My name is Accelerator, and just so you know, I'm listed in the bingo book as a B-class threat. The 3 of them were surprised, but at least now they knew that Naruto wasn't to be messed with. My name is Dosu. The hunchback said. I'm Kin, the female said. I'm Zaku, the other male said. Great, now we can leave. Naruto said. Actually, we were told to give you this. Doso said, taking out a headband with a music note on it. Naruto signed before taking it and wrapping it around his forehead. Try to keep up. Naruto said before pushing off the ground and went flying off towards the leaf. Since Naruto forced them to go so fast, they made it to the leaf in record time. Dosu, Kin and Zaku were all patting and covered in sweat by the time they reached the gate, while Naruto hadn't broken a sweat. You 3 are pretty pathetic, aren't you? Shut up, Kin said, although it didn't sound very threatening since she was panting between words. Naruto was nice enough to let them caught their breaths before walking up to the gate guards. They weren't the same guards as when Naruto first came here, and for that he was glad. We're here for the Chunin exams. Naruto said, trying to sound polite, but even the genin could tell it was fake. Alright, but where's your Jounin instructor? The guard said, looking around. Naruto set his red eyes on the guard, and actually made him shake a little. That would be me, Accelerator. The guard quickly looked through his book, trying to find his name. Yes, you are indeed in here. Your hotel is on the north side of Konoha, and here are your room keys. Naruto took the 2 keys that the guard gave him before walking into the village, his genin following behind. Naruto threw one of the room keys to Dosu. There's your room, now don't bother me. Naruto said. Hey, you only gave us 1. Kin said. Yeah, I did, so what, I need a place to sleep too. Naruto said, not understanding. It's boys in one room and girls in the other. Kin said. No, it isn't, genin get one room and jounin get the other. Naruto said. Now you 3 can do whatever you want, all you have to do is make it through the Chunin exam. While I also get to do whatever I want, but I don't have to make it through the exam, so in other words, you 3 have work to do while I get to screw around. The genin looked at Naruto with hate in their eyes, but they knew he was right. They had their mission and he had his. They soon wandered off, much to Naruto's pleasure. Naruto went sightseeing around the village, examining the place where he could have and should have grown up in. He had to admit the place was nicer than the dark cell that Orochimaru kept him in, but the cold bleakness of the land of frost was much more appealing to him. After a little bit of wandering around, Naruto heard someone yelling. Deciding that it would be fun to investigate, he headed over to the noise, and was he glad he did. A person who had on purple face paint and a girl with 4 ponytails were arguing with none other than his sisters and a guy that Naruto suspected to be the Sasuke Uchiha that Hitomi talks about. Naruto also knew who the other 2 people were, and they probably knew who he was, being part of the plan. They were the siblings of the Sans Jinchuriki, Temari and Kankuro. Which begged the question, where was Gaara? Naruto guessed it didn't matter. After all, could have plenty of fun without Gaara. Hey, what's with all the racket? Naruto said. The group of 5 turned to see a very pale boy wearing a headband with a music note on it coming their way. None of your business. Kankuro said. Oh, my mistake, you see, you were just making so much noise that I thought you wanted someone to show up and beat the crap out of you. The pale boy said, letting off some killer instinct. That enough? Just who the hell are you? Sasuke said. Name's Accelerator. The boy said. Kankuro's and Temari's eyes seemed to widen like they knew the name, although Sasuke, Naruko, and Minama couldn't guess why. So Accelerator, what are you doing here? Minama asked. I heard some noise and thought I would check it out like the good Samaritan I am. Naruto said, sounding like a real prick. That's not what I meant. Minama said, trying to control her frustration. What are you doing in this village? You mean you don't know? Temari said, cutting into the conversation. We're here for the Chunin exam. The Chunin exam? Minama said. Yeah, you know where Genin are giving the chance to be prompted to Chunin. Temari said. We weren't told anything about that. Naruko said. Then it means you aren't good enough to participate. Kankuro said, chuckling. Oh yeah, I bet we'll kick your ass in the Chunin exams. Naruko said. Then how about we test your skills right now? Kankuro said, taking some sort of bundle off his back and unwarping it. But before he could finish, a new voice spoke. Kankuro, do you want me to kill you? The group looked up to see a boy with red hair standing upside down on a tree branch. Kankuro looked sick to his stomach and was staring at the boy with fearful eyes. Sorry, Gaara. So that's Gaara. Naruto thought. Pretty impressive, I didn't even see him climb up there. You got something to say? Sasuke said, looking a little pissed off. Gaara just looked at him with blank eyes before turning into sand and they reappearing in front of his siblings. Come on, Baki wants to talk to us. Right, Temari said as they started walking off. But you just got here, don't leave now. Naruto said. Gaara didn't even pay him any mind as he walked away. Well, that's disappointing, now there is no more fun to be had. Naruto said, trying to look as down as possible. What about us? Naruko said, sounding offended. You three are too weak to have fun with, but I do hope to see you in the Chunin exam. Naruto said before walking off. Naruto had a new plan in mind. He would go see Orochimaru's favorite little spy and make a request concerning his new form of entertainment, pissing off his sisters. After all, he didn't have anything better to do. Naruko and Minama headed back to their house, still angry about the treatment they had gotten from those outsiders. How could they not be told about the Chunin exam? It made them look like idiots. When they entered the house, they could already smell Kushina's food. Ka-san, we're home. Minama said. Kushina peeked out from the kitchen. That's great, dinner almost ready, so how about you take a seat? The girls took a seat at the table while Kushina put some food in front of them and also took a seat. Hey Ka-san, why weren't we told about the Chunin exams? Naruko asked. So you found out? Kushina said. Yeah, we need some genin from other villages. They were kind of asses, Minama said. Yeah, that's bound to happen, but I wouldn't let it get to you. They're probably just showing off. Kushina said. We didn't tell you about the Chunin exams because we're the village hosting it, so we can't tell any of our beforehand genin since they could try and get an unfair advantage. We were going to tell you soon. In fact, your father is meeting with the Jounin right now to see who will be participating. So are we going to be taking it? Minama said excitedly. It's up to Kakashi and you, but I have pretty good hunch that he's going to let you participate. Kushina said. The girls smiled at each other. It was going to be an exciting week. Naruto walked out of Kabuto's house after getting him to agree to his idea, although it was more trouble than it should have been. First, Kabuto had yelled at him telling him that they shouldn't be talking to each other, but Naruto blew him off. Then Kabuto flat had refused him, saying that his idea would draw unnecessary attention, but after Naruto refused to leave Kabuto house, he eventually gave in. Naruto wished he could see the look on his sisters' faces when they heard, but sadly he wouldn't be there to witness it. Naruto was interrupted from his train of thought when he turned a corner and a man with red clothes and white hair was leaning on the wall looking very smug. Now what's a B-class ninja doing in our village? Jiraiya of the Sannin said. Naruto was little surprised to see him there but played it cool. Wow, a big shot like you knows about a little Mino like me. I'm honored. Naruto said, stopping to look at Jiraiya. Jiraiya lost his smug look and just looked annoyed. Cut the crap, what are you doing here, Accelerator? I'm here for the Chunin exam, of course. It not so strange for a jounin to be listed in the bingo book now, is it? Naruto said. You're right, but it is strange for someone so young, even if they are a jounin, to be given a genin team. Jiraiya said, looking at Naruto, taking in every detail of his face, trying to detect some sort of lie. I'm just that talented. Naruto replied. It's also strange that a ninja who has lived in the land of frost for a number of years would suddenly become a jounin of a newly found village far away. Jiraiya said. What can I say, I wanted a change of scenery and Otogakure needed ninja. Naruto replied. Jiraiya got right into Naruto's face so much so that if he got any closer he would have hit Naruto's reflection and be sent tumbling backwards like an idiot. You know what I think? I think that you're up to something and I'm going to find out what it is. Why don't you go pester some other jounin instructor? Naruto said with a hint of anger in his voice. Jiraiya took one last look at him before walking away. What an asshole! Naruto said under his breath, but Naruto knew that Jiraiya's threat was serious and would be a huge problem. Jiraiya would go digging and he would find the file of Naruto's visit so long ago. From what Mito told Naruto, the guards that he had told his name to had lied in their testimony, but if they were asked again by one of a Sannin, maybe they wouldn't be so quick to hide the truth. If they told Jiraiya Naruto's real name, then he would have a lot more to worry about than Orochimaru's invasion. It would take Jiraiya a little bit to find the file since he would have to go by face and not name, so before he found it Naruto would have do something. Naruto smiled his insane smile. He hadn't even been here a full day but he was already having so much fun. He got to piss off his sister and Jiraiya and he had barely done anything. The leaf sure was an interesting place.
That's it for today. Remember to show your support to the creator of this story if you enjoyed it. If you would like more parts of the story to be uploaded, leave a comment and subscribe to get notified when the story continues. Bye-bye for now, and I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your day.